Hi guys, welcome to another installment of Behind the Business. My name's Naomi and I will be your host today. You're probably wondering, where's Benedicta? Well, you've had the pleasure of listening to her while she spoke to a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs throughout the season. But today we're going to be putting her in the hot seat. So today I have with me the founder of BeniRatio Finances, the host of Behind the Business, and my older sister, Benedicta and Egbeme.
Hi.
Welcome to your own podcast.
Nice to be here.
Let's start off light. My first question for you is, tell us about you. Who are you and what do you do?
So, of course, some of you, or most of you probably already know, but I am Benedicta, founder of BeniRatio Finances. I do many things and I wear many hats, from ministry to business to career to everything that you can think of, to singing, worship, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, in terms of the purpose of this series, I'm also the founder of Behind the Business. And that is kind of like a spin-off to my accounting business, BeniRatio Finances. And basically, as an accountant, I have had the privilege of speaking to so many business owners, and my accounting sessions have turned into business 101 sessions. And so I just felt like we needed to bring these conversations from behind Zoom, bring them from behind, Google Meets, and just push them out into the world and share all of the wonderful stories from all of the different entrepreneurs. And so that's how Behind the Business kind of came to light off my BeniRatio Finances accounting business.
That's really interesting. It would be good to hear more about BeniRatio Finances. Cool name. Like, what is that whole business about?
Okay, so BeniRatio Finances is actually, Benny is a combination of myself and my husband's name. So his name is Eniwo, E-N-I. So Benny, B for Benedicta, Benny. And then the ratio aspect is short for rationale, so reasoning. So Benny and Eniwo's reasoning, and then we just added finances on the end because that's the financial aspect. But we do actually have BeniRatio Property Group, and we have BeniRatio Limited, which also does consulting. So it's a big thing, but BeniRatio Finances is all about the accounting. So helping people with their business finances. I used to do personal finances, but I really just focus on the business. I believe business is my passion. So I focus on the business finance aspect, and it's all about making accounting, tax returns, all of that kind of stuff simple. I think that you can probably agree with me that nobody wants to speak to their accountant. You think about the accountant and you're thinking about rules, regulations, something boring. And so I just wanted to kind of bring some life into accounting, help people, speak to them in normal English, simple English, plain English that they can understand, help them with their businesses. And so that's what BeniRatio Finances is all about.
Really cool, really interesting. You've mentioned a few things on why you wanted to start BeniRatio Finances, but is there anything else that you would like people to know about your particular business?
Not necessarily about my particular business, but I would definitely, and I've been saying, I really want to push the message to everybody about business generally, that I really want to see when you ask a young child, what do you want to be? Most times they will say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a fireman, a policeman, or whatever. I really want business, being a businessman or a businesswoman or an entrepreneur, to be added to the list of occupations that people can achieve. I really want people to understand that you don't have to wait for somebody else before you have money. You can literally generate your own money by business. You can pay your bills from work that you have generated. You can live the life that you want to have from income that you have generated. So I really want to push the message that business is just as valid as any other occupation out there.
That is a good message, and I definitely agree that businessmen, businesswomen should be considered more of a job title and should be talked about more to young children. But what would you say is one of the most underrated things that people don't appreciate about owning or running a business?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about this earlier this week. I think people don't realize when you see a successful business or a business that's well known, a brand that's well known, a business owner that is, has customers, people don't understand that for every success that you see or for all the shining lights, there is so much resilience behind it. As an entrepreneur, I've just mentioned about, accepting and understanding that, being a business owner is just as valid as a career. But the truth is, every other career, you go to work and you are with other people. You have a boss who tells you what to do. You have colleagues that you learn from. Being a business owner, more often than not, you are the one teaching yourself, instructing yourself, encouraging yourself, going out and winning the work yourself, doing the work yourself, paying the bills yourself, doing the admin yourself. And so I think people underrate the fact that there is so much more that goes into a business. If you see even a cake business, for example, you see a cake business owner and you think, oh, all she does is make cakes. No, she does so much more, or he does so much more. You see someone who, or even someone like myself, yes, I do accounting, but I do way more to make sure that my business stays together. And so I think that bit is underrated. When you see success, there is so much more resilience, so much more that's going on behind the scenes. And also the acknowledgement that the person has not given up. Because many times when you're in business on your own, you will feel like you want to give up. It's hard. Today is not the best of days. And it takes a lot to overcome that fear. It's easy to just be like, you know what? I'm going to go get a normal job. Everybody else does not have to go through what I'm going through. Why am I doing this to myself? Let me just go and be an employee somewhere. So yeah, the understanding that someone is literally fighting every single day to, say no to quitting, no to giving up, and yes to like doing it. Doing what they believe in, and earning their own money.
Thank you. Those are some really.
So I was going to say that business is hard work. That's
Okay.
what people don't appreciate.
Thank you. Those were some really good insights. Hopefully they haven't scared off any future business owners. Would you be able to share with us some major highs you've had in your business?
I think for every entrepreneur, that first customer who paid is like, oh my God, wow, somebody actually believed what I said. Somebody actually believed me enough to pay money and put it in my bank account and trust me to deliver this service. So that's a high. But the truth is, if I'm honest, yes, the first is amazing, but every other opportunity and every other payment is amazing. Every time I get the notification that someone has just paid for a service, I'm like, woo, like this thing is still working. We're clearly doing something right. Someone believes in this business. Someone believes in this, in this service and what I'm doing. So yeah, that is, for me, that's a high every day because, and I think that we always talk about this, buying from other Black businesses or buying from small businesses generally, regardless of race or ethnicity, you buying from an individual means so much more to that individual, to their family, to their finances than when you buy, for example, from a large, chain, buying from a little corner shop compared to buying from Tesco. It is, it's two different things.
Yeah, I agree. Any lows you would like to share with us?
I think one of the lows is that you have to accept that for every customer, we've all heard about the 80-20 rule, right? And the 80-20 rule can apply to anything. Basically, for every 100% of things or for every full capacity, it's always normally divided into like 80% of it would be one way and 20% of it will be one way. So what do I mean by that? If I apply it to business, for every customer that loves you and thinks that you're amazing and is so grateful and is like, thank you, Benedicta, thank you, BeniRatio Finances, thank you to your team, you guys have helped me out so much. Unfortunately, there will be that 20%, hopefully not as many as 20%, but there will sometimes be the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4 customers who, honestly, no matter what you do, you just cannot help them. And I think a low for me is having to, although I do it happily because I know that you can't serve everybody, but a low is when I realize that, you know what, I'm not going to be able to serve this customer and I actually have to tell them to go. Either just decide not to work with them in the first place, or in some cases refund people their money. Like, do you know what? I think this is beyond my capacity, or I don't think we're compatible. I think for me, that's a low, although I understand and I accept that it's not necessarily anyone's fault because, yeah, compatibility is a thing. It's a low because, you want to be able to help everyone. I think everybody, when you open up your business, you want to be able to serve everyone. And so having to accept that sometimes, I think that's a bit of a low in business.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm sure a lot of people at home are feeling inspired maybe to start their own businesses. Would you be able to describe to us your journey into running a business?
Yeah, so for me, first of all, I come from a family, I'm sure you can attest. We come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like, our mum be doing the most. Our dad be doing the most. They're all about business. I literally grew up in a house that business was was a thing. Yes, you did something on the side, but you always did business.
Multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams of income.
That was her favorite one.
So for me, getting into business, I think it was almost like default. It was normal. In fact, it was expected that you would have something. And all of our siblings, you know, they all do multiple things, including our parents. So for me, getting into business was very easy. But what I did was that I just used what I already know. I love numbers. I'm good with numbers. I've done my accounting exams. For me, it was just like, okay, if I'm getting paid at work X amount, how can I take this same thing and push it to a different audience who will also pay me for it? And so, yeah, that was kind of how I got into business. I just started offering the service I was already trained to do, I was already skilled at, just started offering that to a new audience. And talking about money has, especially, you know, during the pandemic, it's an important thing that people need to know about and people find hard. So when you find someone who knows how to do it, I realized that it's appreciated and it's valued. But I would also shout out one of my friends, Nash Amber. She was one of the first people, and my husband as well, who were like, you know that what you're doing with these numbers is really good, like amazing. Like not everybody can do this. For me, I was just like, oh yeah, this is what we do. You do this, you do that, you type this, you add this, you minus it. They were like, no, this is not normal. Like you have a skill, you have a gift, and other people need to benefit from this. And so I had a lot of encouragement from them as well, specifically in the financial aspect. But I think I was always going to be a business person.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still going to open up more businesses.
I agree. Do you have any other advice for aspiring entrepreneurs who are wanting to go into business?
Yeah, so obviously using myself as an example, I didn't just go straight into business. I had a 9-to-5, have a 9-to-5. You know, I think that whilst you might have great passion and great desire to just want to show up as the multi-million pound, you know, businesswoman or businessman, you have to be realistic. And so please do not be deceived. Your 9-to-5 will help you to fund your business. So don't just go around quitting. I've had, unfortunately, some customers and even friends who have quit too early and it didn't quite work out. And then they end up having to go back to work. For me, I think slow and steady wins the race. And so be sensible and make smart decisions. Of course, don't keep yourself in a box. Don't limit yourself. Go for what you want, but also be reasonable and realistic in terms of the financial aspect. You still need to be able to live. You still need to be able, some people will tell you, you know, go and live in a cardboard box for 5 years because you want to save money to open up your business. I don't believe in that. I believe that you should still have a reasonable life. Yes, it's hard work, but yeah, if you're realistic and you plan it out and you use what you have, you will be able to get what you want. That's
okay. So use what you have and stay realistic are the key takeaways.
From a financial point of view, dream big, but start with what you have.
Okay, cool. So speaking of finance, let's get a bit more specific. What about for accountants? Do you have any advice for other accountants out there?
Oh, yeah. I had to take a deep breath because every time a customer comes to me and they're like, oh, I need a new accountant because blah, 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 blah. You know, on one hand, you might want to be like, yes, we're here to take your business. I always, and I'm sure my customers can attest to this, I always say to them, okay, look. Before you start slagging off your old accountant to me, what did you pay for? Because if you did not pay for the right thing, that is why you're not getting it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are also rogue accountants. We know many of them. And if you've heard some of my other podcasts, you will hear some horrible stories. I know that there are definitely rogues out there, but I would say for accountants, be clear. And just to be fair, this probably applies to every business. Be clear on what you are providing and what you're not providing so that your customers understand it. And then I would say just generally for accountants as well, please try and speak in normal English. I think, honestly, I tag myself your favorite accountant because I realize even sometimes when I have like new staff and I'm like, okay, let's put something together to put out. And then they start talking in all of this like textbook language. I'm like, look, the average Joe on the street, on Instagram, on TikTok does not care about credits and debits. They don't care about accruals. They don't care about prepayments. They just want to know, is the money plus or is minus? Am I in profit? Am I making money or am I not making money? So I would say to accountants, just be normal. Like translate your textbook into normal English to help you communicate with your customers. And actually, yes, communicate. A lot of my customers complain about accountants not communicating. And I realize that that's actually been a strength for me in BeniRatio Finances. When I compare it to all other, to many other accountants, you know, they always say, you know, they haven't heard anything from their accountant is not communicating with them. So I would say please add communication to your accounting skills so that you can have a more successful business.
Very good. Hope some accountants out there have taken that on board. Do you have anything you would like to advise any other businesses any other business owners? I know you deal with them a lot.
Yeah. So via my position, I do get to speak to loads of business owners. I've seen some really amazing things. I've seen customers who literally just registered their business, start with me, and I've seen like their income grow to six figures, 200K. One of my customers, 600K. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You need to bring me in to whatever you are doing. And, you know, I've seen my customers be able to quit their jobs and be able to go full time. So that's amazing. And so I just want to actually salute and say congratulations and, you know, well done to all of the business owners out there who have been able to do that and go through it. Like I said, the resilience, the hard work that goes to be able to pull that off. That's from a positive point of view. From a negative point of view, I would say an encouragement to business owners is that finance is important. At the end of the day, you're in business for money. Many people do come to me, they're just like, I just don't want to get in trouble. Just make sure that HMRC don't call me. Make sure Companies House don't call me. That's fine, but there's only so far you can go in business like that. There comes a time when if you want to be serious, you need to think about planning. You need to think about budgeting in your business. I'm not talking about individually now. That's still necessary and important. But in your business, you should have savings in your business. You should know how much expenses you have. You should be able to plan. You should be able to know what are the drivers of your business. And so, yeah, I want to encourage business owners to move from the just make sure I don't get in trouble into the understanding of the workings of your business, the numbers, so that you can grow and, you know, be that business that lasts forever. Last but not least, I'd also say, please do not build your business just around you. Don't get me wrong. When you start, there is that place where you are doing everything. But at some point, you're going to need to hire some people, whether you like it or not, because you can't do everything all the time and you can't be everywhere all the time. You have to have a life as well. So, you know, and I think we've talked about this in some of the other sessions, you know, be willing to build a team, hire a team, build people around you so that you can have the flexibility of your lifestyle as well as the income coming in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be open.
Great. You've given us a lot of insights for business owners, for those hoping to become business owners. Do you have any other advice?
No, I think that's it. But yeah, I just want to encourage all the business owners out there. Please keep doing what you're doing. You are making a positive impact. Even if you might not be on TV and everyone knows you as the best business owner, I can guarantee you, your friends and your family, even your kids, are encouraged by the fact that you are a boss. And yeah, the only way to really be a boss is to be a boss, right? So yeah, keep bossing it.
Okay, so I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Would you go into business with me?
With you or with family?
With me.
Because that's two different.
With family, but I would also like to know specifically with me.
So the short answer is probably no.
With me or with family?
Wait, first. So with you, because you're my sister, it's no because of the first part, i.e. I do not believe that you should mix family and business personally. I think that the lines get blurred. I know that a lot of people do it very well. And I know that actually with family, what happens is that everybody should have a vested interest, right? But we're siblings, yeah? I'm married. You will get married potentially and, you know, all of that. When you have other parties, so you're then, when you get married, you then have a different attention with your family, your kids. Don't get me wrong, they're still my family, they're still my nieces and nephews too. But I also have divided attention as well with my husband and our kids, right? I think that kind of breaks the dynamics because we might have a plan that we're trying to achieve, or that person's influence there. I'm not saying it will be negative, but it kind of brings a separation here. And so I feel like there isn't that constant focus. I think that there's a time when you can potentially go into family business. So for example, when we were younger and we're nowhere near marriage and we're with our parents. So basically our focus is in one place, right? But once you start to bring in other desires and other opinions, I think that it can bring an unnecessary strain on family relationships. And for me, I would prefer to maintain my family relationship pure, constant, and for what it is as a loving place than to have money and all of that kind of stuff all come in. And I think that also the truth is with family, and it's not about you, I'm just talking generally, but I think that with family, you kind of feel like, oh, it's just my mom, oh, it's just my sister. And so you try to make excuses. The way I talk to my employees, I'm very strict. Why? Because I'm paying your salary. I'm not rude and we still have a good time, but I wouldn't be able to talk to my mom like that. And if I kept on talking to you as my sister like that, you would probably hate me as your fellow business person and hate me as your sister. So I would prefer that there's a division. Like, we can do a few minor bits here and there, but proper business, I don't think so. However, I do think that husbands and wives should go into business together.
You're stealing my question. I was literally going to ask you that next.
I think, yeah, and it's for the same reason, because the attention is not divided, right? Ideally, husbands and wives are trying to build the same empire. Obviously, we know that some people are trying to do their own thing, but in an ideal world, you should be trying to build the same empire. So I think, yeah, where possible. But I think it also has to do with personalities too. Let's be realistic. Again, some wives or some husbands will just take the mick. Oh, it's just my husband. Oh, it's just my wife. But if you're both going to be serious, I think husband and wife partnerships with two serious heads,
Amazing combination.
they can rule the world.
You mentioned personalities, and something I've always thought is that there is a business personality. As someone who's currently running a successful business, do you agree with that statement? And what do you think that person looks like?
I agree. I do agree. I think that there are people who are naturally, I think also it's not just a personality, it's also experiences and positioning. So I definitely know, as the firstborn child of a single parent household, there are just some things that I just had to get on with, and it just makes you strong. It makes you rugged in some kind of way. And I think that those experiences make me resilient in business, right? And I definitely think that, I shouldn't say definitely, because to be fair, our baby brother, who is the last born, most times they will say the last borns just get pampered, they just get spoiled, so they don't have no backbone. But actually, our baby brother is strong, he's very strong, and he's into business. He's all about that. but basically, talking about personality, you can see that you need to be strong and you need to be resilient. If you are a princess, soft and soft, like someone like my dear sister here, you might find business quite hard. And when it comes to it and it's like, do you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, I think that it doesn't help. And I think maybe what could help, though, if you are more on the softer, calmer, pampered kind of lifestyle, I think maybe partnering with someone a bit stronger. But again, you have to be careful, because if the person is too harsh, it might break the person. Or you're the kind of person that would have like a side hobby that does bring in income, but it's not do or die. So that when you need to step away, you can step away. But if you're going to go full time and literally your whole family's bread and butter relies on this business, I'm not sure that softer, calm kind of personalities do very well in business.
That's fair enough. I'm a bit offended, but that is fair enough.
It's not that you don't do well, but you might not be able to get like all the way to like the £1 million and the billion, multi-billion pound businesses. Like, it takes a lot of grit. I'm just trying to be honest.
But that leads me on to my next question. So for my fellow softies out there, could you give us a lazy girl's guide to
I like that.
bossing up and starting a business? Like, what is the minimum amount of effort I need to put in to start seeing some profit?
I think, okay, I don't know about lazy girl's guide. Maybe we could talk about that separately. Maybe that should be our partnership.
That would actually be really cool.
Lazy girl's guide to running a business, right? If you're not that harsh. But I think maybe it should be something. So I'll be honest, and I've said this before. When I first started my business, I was literally working round the clock. You've even noticed it when you were staying at our house, right? Literally, I'm on my laptop all day. I would say maybe for the lazy girl, just being consistent with a certain amount of time. So maybe you say you just want to do 2 days in a week. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything more than that. But if you can be consistent with that 2 days, or every day from 5 till 8, that's all I'm doing. If you can be consistent with that, I think that you can still produce successful and consistent results that will be able to help you, like add an extra stream of income.
Okay. Another question that I've always wanted to know is, when do you call it quits? Because you've mentioned a lot about staying resilient. Good business owners are usually, people with grit, people who can stay at it. But at some point in some businesses, you just need to,
I think that
give it a rest.
At the point where the price you're paying you consider it too high. So, for example, you're in a marital relationship and your marriage is crumbling because of your business, you should have quit ages ago. Like, it's not that deep. Like, I don't think that money is more important than a marital relationship. I don't think money is more important than relationship, which is the same reason why I would say I wouldn't go into business with my family, because I value my relationship with my family members over money. I'll rather go and make money with a stranger over there than do it, you know, in a way that would affect our relationship. So at the moment, at the point where the price, the things that you are losing because of your business is too much, you need to let it go. And I would, like I say, relationships for me is more important than money. And also, for example, your health. If you're working around the clock and you are now sick, come on, like, you need to be alive to make money. So if it's affecting your health, it's affecting your relationships, I think you need to look for a different strategy or get help. This is another thing. When it starts getting too hard, the reason why it gets too hard is because you're trying to do everything by yourself. The best hack for me in my business was hiring an assistant. All my days. That changed my life.
But how did you go about that? Where does one just find an assistant?
Yeah. Maybe that's another story for another day. We'll be here till tomorrow. We'll do that in season 2.
Hopefully you can cover this quickly, but I'm sure a lot of people might also be wondering, in this day and age with Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter,
Threads,
everything, how do you, how would you say it's a requirement for a business owner to show their face? Does it depend on the business? Does it depend on the person? Have you seen successful businesses, faceless successful businesses?
It depends. When you say show your face where? Because what I have seen, yes, there's the social media kind of, you know, your face is on there, but there are businesses that nobody knows about in the typical sense, in terms of, like, they're doing business to business. So people who do like government contracts, they're not really on social media. They're just in the back doing a bid to a charity, or doing a bid to, I don't know, for example, like the National Lottery funding or whatever, doing different kinds of bids, and they're getting money, and they're getting big money. They might not be doing TikToks and Reels all day, every day, but they're showing up behind the scenes in terms of to win the contract. So obviously if they needed to present that, so not in the typical way of being on social media and being an influencer, I think you can get away with it if you have a business to business. If you have a business to consumer kind of business, I do think that you do need to show your face. How much you show your face will depend on your type of business, because it might not be your face, but there should be a face. I think that people definitely buy from people. So it might not be my face, but if I have a sponsor or a brand owner, for example, I don't know what the owner of Nike looks like, but I know that, is it Ronaldo that is he has a brand sponsorship with Nike, for example? Or do you get what I mean? So you can have faces that might not be your face that are pushing the brand, in the place where it matters, i.e. in social media. But yeah, I do think that a face is important. I wanted to quickly talk about how our parents, right? Do you remember when Dad had a shop?
Yes. That's a very,
I remember my dad having a shop in New Cross Gate, right? A computer shop. But I also remember, even before his computer shop, I remember him as a child, him opening up computers in the living room. Oh, you weren't born then. So I remember him opening up computers and him being like the connect in like church and circles. So like if you wanted to get a computer, you go to my dad and he would hook you up with a computer. And then I remember them taking that. So I want to talk about like the different stages of their business, basically. So I remember him being from that person in the living room, opening and doing computers, right? To then being the person who would get computers for other people, fix their computers. To then being the person who would export these computers or tech items to Nigeria, sell them in Nigeria. They used to have containers. You was like 8 months when mum moved to Nigeria, so you might not remember. But yeah, they would sell them in Nigeria. They did that for 3 years. Then they came back. That's when he then had the shop. What am I trying to get at? Basically, I've seen my parents' business like evolve. And so for me, I think that's been encouraging. I think we underestimate how much of that picture, like I've never really said this in the open, but saying it now, that I guess that image and that picture has always been there for me. And so this is what I was saying about with entrepreneurs, that your immediate family members, your kids, it is actually leaving an imprint in their life, and it can actually shape like what they become in the future. So yeah, and then now with our mum having a farm. Which is a type of business.
But I will also say on that point, whilst it is good to emulate like your parents, and parents should be setting good examples for their children, you also mentioned how one of the signs that you should probably end your business is it's literally killing you. And I know for me personally, I've always admired, like, my mum. She's hardworking. She'll go to morning shift, she'll go to afternoon shift, she'll go to night shift, she'll do it all. But like that can become very toxic, especially in a business that's just you, just yourself. There's no set hours. It's easy to get carried away. So look after yourself. But yes, carry on working hard. And yeah, there's levels to the business thing. Trust the process. Is that what they say? Yeah. But great chat. Thank you all.